Episode 9 of the MGM Plus original horror show From has released. Episode 9, Revelations Chapter 1. And, contrary to popular belief, I'm not a big enough YouTuber to see the episodes early, although I wish I was. MGM Plus, hit me up. My business email's in the description of the video. Let's cut some kind of deal, you know what I'm saying? But in all seriousness, thank you for the positive reception on my previous video covering this show. I'm just really happy to see that there's a lot of people out there who are just as engaged in solving the mystery of this show as I am. Though I do have to admit, I have been watching the episodes early, in the sense that there is this one YouTube channel that's been uploading the episodes early on the day that they are supposed to come out, but it's early on in the day, which has actually been like a huge time saver for me, because that means I can just wake up on Sunday and immediately start watching the episode and writing the script for these videos. So I'm not going to name the channel they're uploaded to so YouTube doesn't hunt them down and destroy them, but shout out to that YouTube channel. You've made my life so much simpler. But let's get into the show ourselves, shall we? The episode opens with Fatima still being kept under lock and key by sociopath Elgin, and I don't know why I didn't make this parallel before, but Elgin might be going down the same path as Sarah, thinking he's doing this horrible thing for the greater good and that it'll help everybody, when in reality it might just end up causing more pain to more people and not really doing much of anything. And of course we see Fatima continuing her normal person diet and getting much healthier because she's a normal person. Later on, we see Fatima actually pregnant. Oh, so this normal diet of hers is yielding some results? Oh, well, I mean, if it can stimulate muscle growth and height, I might have to get on that. And of course, once again, Fatima fails to escape Elgin's grasp, and her imprisonment unfortunately continues. But we do see her notice this hatch on the floor, and I have a sneaking suspicion that this hatch in the floor actually leads to the tunnels. But just as she's failing to get it open, the drowned woman appears and actually holds her down. She holds Fatima down and covers her mouth to prevent other people from hearing the screaming. We see her being held down one more time this episode, but we'll get back to that in a little bit. Moving on, I want to talk about Donna and Boyd. Starting off with Boyd, his Parkinson's actually flares up again, and this time his leg freezes up, which is a new symptom. Luckily, Ellis is there to help get him back to the station, and in the morning, they make the decision to make search parties to go and look for Fatima. Before they go and bring this up to Donna, Sarah bursts in and tells them that the voices in her head told her something new. And this is the first time the voices have spoken since all the way back in the ruins. The voices tell her that no matter what they do, they won't be able to find her in time, even though she is close by. I'm sure they'll find her in time, and it's good motivation for the townsfolk, am I right? But I guess the plotline of Sarah having voices in her head wasn't abandoned or forgotten about. It's still there, still a plot device that can be used to move the story forward. As Boyd goes to talk to Donna, something surprising happens. Donna is sitting there looking at a picture of her sister, who we learned was gruesomely murdered, and when Boyd brings up the search party plan, Donna admits that she isn't going to tell the townspeople that Fatima murdered Tilly, because, as Donna put it,
I don't think people could take it. I don't think I can take it.
And honestly, this might be the correct move. Finding out that someone beloved universally by an entire town of extremely scared people is also a murderer might just kill their last spark of hope and optimism, and that is the last thing you want to do. I really didn't expect Donna to do this. I thought she would come out with the truth, because that's just the type of person I took her for, but we see a little flashback of Fatima's 1-year anniversary party, and yeah, I guess she's just too attached to her. Anyway, moving on, this whole search party plan, ooh, that felt weird to say. This whole search party plan is kind of like the backbone plot of this episode, so most of the scenes we'll see will be taking place during this search. And Elgin, the little sly sociopathic dog that he is, deliberately leads Ellis away from Fatima. Dick move, Elgin. Dick move. If Ellis ever finds out what you did, you're a dead man. We get a really nice scene during the search between Kenny and Boyd. Since that Parkinson's incident the previous day really has Boyd kind of shook up, he kind of talks to Kenny about how he is the only person Boyd can trust to keep the town safe and his family safe whenever Boyd is either gone or just incapable of doing anything due to his Parkinson's. Boyd wants Kenny to take his badge whenever Boyd becomes incapable, and Kenny says he's not going to take his badge, but he does say that he is ready to take that deputy badge if Boyd still wants him to. To me, this is a representation of Kenny's journey of forgiveness and moving on. Him accepting that deputy badge, at least to me, is representative and symbolic of him not ready to forgive and move on all at once, but one step at a time. Nothing will ever change Boyd's actions and how he lied to Kenny and kinda deceived him, but that doesn't mean Kenny has to continuously resent him for the entire time that they're there. And as a wise man once said,
turns out resentment is corrosive, and I hate it.
Alright, now that we've got some of the good stuff out of the way, I want to talk about the one bad thing. Officer Acosta is the single worst character in this entire show. You could remove her from the story and the plot would not change at all. Her motivations, her interactions with characters, her personal gripes with other characters, none of it is cohesive in any way, shape, or form. Her character feels extremely inconsistent, and the scenes she's in don't really build upon really anything, and I'm not going to bring her up anymore unless it's related to genuine plot movement. Before the search and throughout the search, we see Jim trying to make things a little bit better with his family. Starting with Julie at the clinic, she just completely rejects him still. I don't know if you've noticed the situation you're in, Julie, but cut your dad a break. He's doing his best. Tabitha seems to mostly forgive him after he declared that, no matter what, he'll support her and whatever she wants to do. And then when they're out searching for Fatima, they go back to the, RV, I guess it is? They go back to the RV that they crashed in, and Jim says his piece to Ethan, and Ethan seems to be all cool with him. Also, I'd like to take this moment, I know it's going to seem like a weird moment, it'll make sense in a second. I'd also like to take this moment to say that if you watch these videos early on Sunday on the YouTube channel, don't read the comments. They are full of just assholes spoiling things and leakers just spoiling things for no good reason. And the reason I bring it up now is because when I was watching the video, I decided, I'll read a few comments, just see what's up. There was a pretty, noteworthy spoiler related to Jim. That's why I'm bringing it up now, since we're talking about him. To all those people and all those leakers who spoil things ahead of time, big ol' fuck you. There is no reason whatsoever for you to spoil other people's experiences when they haven't even experienced them yet. That is just not cool. And if I see you spoiling anything, and I mean anything, in my comments section, you're getting immediately banned without further hesitation. Do you understand me? Don't ruin other people's viewing experience just because you're fine with watching leaked content ahead of time that other people might not know about. Sorry, I just needed to get that out there because when people do this kind of shit, it really pisses me off. Either way though, let's proceed with talking about the show. After last episode, Victor's having a bit of a panic attack and Tabitha is doing her best to console him. Oh, why is Tabitha getting a weird feeling as soon as she touched Victor's arm? I don't know. Probably nothing important. Probably nothing to worry about. In this episode, we see Jade recreating the bottle tree? Oh yeah, I know. As Jade says later in the episode,
Where you going?
Back to the bar. At least there I can pretend I'm being productive.
as he's working on this recreation of the bottle tree, he sees a vision of Christopher holding Jasper, similar to how he's seen other people in this town or who have lived in this town in the past. But the Civil War soldier is still kind of a head scratcher to me. I don't know about all of you. Henry comes and mentions to Jade that the whole town is looking for Fatima, but Henry kind of stumbles over himself, kind of like I'm doing right now. Henry kind of stumbles over himself and takes a minute to get to the point, and season 1 Jade would have already lost his patience and temper and told him to get lost or whatever. But present day Jade, on the other hand, is like, yeah, he's got a bit of patience. He listens, he's like, is there anything I can help you with? I know Jade had a similar character moment like this one in the previous episode, but I wanted to bring it up because to me, it's the writers just reinforcing his character development, and I guarantee we're going to see more stuff like this in the future. As the two are helping with the search, Henry is waffling about his awkward situation with Victor for a little bit, and Jade actually gives some pretty good advice here. Roll the clip.
You're trying to figure out how to fix him, right? You can't. Because he's not broken.
Speaking of Victor, his panic attack grows a little bit into Axe Maniac territory, and Victor tries to actually cut down one of the faraway trees. The boy in white appears and doesn't really tell Victor all that much, even though Victor is pleading and begging with him to tell him what to do. The boy in white's kind of petty here because he's like, oh, I tried the same thing with Christopher, he didn't listen. Newsflash, buddy, if one person doesn't listen or understand, there's going to be another person who will listen or who will understand. I don't know, who is someone who genuinely wants to figure everything out and kind of has a little bit of a connection to this place? Maybe they're actually open to their visions and trying to analyze them. I don't know, maybe someone like Tabitha or Jade perhaps? I don't know, just a thought. But all Victor gets is, don't cut down that tree. Real helpful, this boy, I'll tell you what. The episode ends with Tabitha and Julie finding Victor in the cellar. Yes, that same cellar, the one where Fatima's being held down and her screams muffled. It was actually one of the ghost children that led Tabitha and Julie to the cellar. Victor's down there kind of blaming himself for everything that happened all those years ago, and, Tabitha tries to console him and just gives him a hug, and, oh, she's getting that weird feeling again. I wonder what's that about. Oh my god, she's having a panic attack, she's freaking out, she's screaming, it's impossible, and the episode ends. Hey, just because the episode's chronologically over doesn't mean the video is over. You sit your ass down right where it is. The vision in question is the one we've seen before of Miranda leaving Victor and his sister down in the cellar, but then we see the extension of that vision where she's out in the forest and she gets murdered by Smiley, as the community has named him. And unlike most other times we've seen the monster, Smiley actually runs at Miranda. They don't run too often. They usually walk just because, they're playing with the people, they're toying with them like how hunters do. But Smiley runs at her, meaning he could have had or must have had some genuine purpose to killing her as efficiently as possible. But that doesn't explain a whole lot about the vision. All we know in the episode is that Tabitha sees the vision and she's screaming, it's impossible, that's impossible, and then is like, don't touch me, get off me, don't touch, bad touch, stranger danger. Though on the other side of the coin, when it comes to the YouTube comments, they were actually a little bit helpful in this regard. There's a theory that this ending confirms that Tabitha is a reincarnation of Miranda. The theory also poses that Jade is a reincarnation of Christopher, which does add up a little bit. Not just because Jade saw visions of Christopher, but because he had very similar types of visions to Christopher, like the symbol, for example. Kind of like how Miranda and Tabitha had near identical types of visions. Honestly, reincarnation doesn't seem all that far-fetched now that we have time travel on the table from last episode. At this point, any wacky thing the writers can come up with is on the table. The theory in reincarnation also speculates that the people who are brought to this town aren't just random people. They're the reincarnation of the people who came before, and then before them, and before them, all the way back to the original murderers, the ones who murdered the children in the dark. So their souls and those souls' reincarnation and on and down the line we go are perpetually brought to this place and tormented for their crimes. I don't really know how I feel about the whole reincarnation idea, so for now I'm just going to continue looking at it as just a theory. Film theory. We miss you so much, Matt Pat, please come back. Maybe Tabitha isn't a reincarnation of Miranda, but is actually Eloise. Maybe that dream she had as a kid of the red stones wasn't actually a dream, but a repressed memory deeply suppressed to the back of her subconscious because, trauma. I don't know, man, but I'm at least confident in saying that Tabitha's baby is definitely one of the creatures. Maybe one of the quote-unquote higher-ranking creatures. Or maybe, just maybe, Fatima's baby is actually Tilly. Tilly needed to use the tarot cards to use dark magic to plant a piece of her soul inside Tabitha, not only unlocking the secret to eternal life, but also as a way of getting vengeance against Fatima for murdering her since she knew she would be murdered. Okay, I think that's enough for now. I'm going even crazier than the poor souls trapped in this show. I'm kind of mixed on this episode, and my stance is kind of indifferent because when you have an episode titled Revelations Chapter 1, you expect a lot of things to start to make sense. Maybe not everything, but some major things. But I still don't fully understand some of the things going on here, and, some things don't feel concrete yet. We don't know who the voices in Sarah's head are, we don't know who the drowned woman is. The ending scene with Tabitha certainly doesn't make a whole lot of sense and doesn't explain really anything in context because it's really confusing when you just watch it. I don't know. Not too much else in terms of big plot movements happened in this episode. And when you're gonna have like a chapter 1 and chapter 2 as your finale, or a part 1, part 2, whatever as your finale, you want to start moving things at a pretty decent pace. This episode isn't a total miss for me though, because there were some genuinely good character moments and some previous plot points that, we had the impression that they might have been forgotten about or just abandoned, were brought up again. But aside from confirmation that Fatima is in fact pregnant with something, not too much else happens, at least in terms of the big things anyway. I'm sure there's some small details I could have glanced over. The highlight of this episode for me is definitely that scene between Boyd and Kenny during the search party, and not just because it's a really good scene, but because there's so many layers to these two characters and their relationship, and it just, Kenny is starting to feel like a complete character, Which also means he's in danger, which means he might die soon, and then I would cry my eyes out. If you've been enjoying my coverage of From Season 3 and my just general style of content in general, consider dropping a sub. Remember, we're going for 10K by the end of the year. And if we hit that goal, I will get my first tattoo in celebration. And if you really like the way I do things and you want to show me a little bit of extra support, then consider becoming a channel member. You get a whole bunch of cool rewards in return, and you directly support me at the same time. It's a win-win. This channel would not be the same without the members. Absolute legends. But that's gonna do it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah. Have a good day, everyone.